are the champion, the one that holds the line and finishes the mission. Everything that you want is within your grasp. You wake up in the morning ready to dominate the day, and every step taken is with purpose and integrity, because you were not put on this planet to live a mediocre existence. You are here to conquer and make the biggest impact possible, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your tribe. This world is a battlefield, and we will be victorious. This is the Norse Mentality.
What's up, guys? I hope that you are having a glorious day. If this is your first time listening to the Norse Mentality, my name is Andy Lewis, and with me here is Cody Whitley. And this whole podcast is designed to help you reach your true potential and live life to its fullest. And on each episode, me and Cody talk about a different topic that we think will help you do that. And everything that we talk about are just things that we've experienced in our past, tools that we have used to get past these things to help ourselves level up, with the hopes that maybe some of it will help you as well. And today's topic is going to be all about controlling negative self-talk, eliminating it. That way you can be the best version of yourself. And this is probably one of the most important episodes that we've ever done, because your self-talk shapes your entire existence. It shapes your reality and the external world. So we need to get a grip on this, or you are in for a very rough ride throughout life. There are so many people that spend 70, 80, 90 years hating themselves. And because they hate themselves, they don't accomplish anything. They live in poverty. They can't keep a relationship. They don't have anything good for themselves. And it all comes back to the way that they talk to themselves. They hated everything about themselves, either if it was through past actions that there might be a little bit of credibility to, or because they just are fucked up, like we all are. And that's the first point I want to touch on here. We're all sick. That's the reality of being human. Our level of consciousness is higher than other species, but as a result, we have more self-awareness, but our brain also operates in a world that we are not used to anymore. And because of that, we are confused. We don't know how to handle ourselves. We don't know how to handle reality. And we're all sick in the mind. Some people have a better grip on it than the others, but that's the first thing that we need to acknowledge here, is that we are all a little messed up. We all have some sort of negative self-talk throughout our life. And the faster that you can get a grip on it, the better your life is going to be. So rolling into today's discussion, the first thing that we need to do here is challenge our negative self-talk. Is there any credibility to this? And what I mean by that is, if you go into the gym and you have a bad training session, and you start thinking to yourself, I'm just a weak piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. Well, stop that negative self-talk and take an external view from that. Am I really weak? Well, for one, I'm not weak because I'm in the gym. I'm putting in the effort to get stronger. Well, there's proof number one. Second proof, I'm probably stronger than I was a month ago because I've been coming in here consistently. There's point number two. You are progressing. And if you're progressing, then you're definitely not weak. And also, everyone starts at a lower level. No matter what you do, no matter what endeavor you try to pursue, you are going to be starting at the lowest point possible. And then you have to work your way up. It doesn't matter what it is. That's the way that life works. And that is the beautiful part of life, is that nothing is handed to us. We have to earn it. And we only earn it through repetition. But we need to detach from the situation when we start talking negatively to ourselves and question it. Challenge it. Am I actually this worthless? Or is this just this other side of me? Call it your shadow, call it your ego, call it whatever the fuck you want to call it. But either way, there's an internal voice of you that is not your friend right now. And if we look for proof in that, what that does is it kind of allows us to separate ourselves from the self-talk, right? It goes, okay, well, you're saying this, but that's not true. I'm not a weak person. I'm trying my best here. And as soon as you start to do that, that self-talk starts to, oh, fuck, well, I'm getting challenged. That's right, motherfucker. I'm in control of this bitch.
That was one of the biggest turning points for me. Catching whatever negative thought is going through my head, immediately just stopping it where it is and showing up with just irrefutable evidence as to why I'm not that thought. And then you just kick it.
It backs down.
Yeah, like here. Like I've proven myself over time that this thought is not true. And you can't refute any of this hard evidence. So that thought has no credibility.
I approached it very aggressively. It was almost like there was another person in front of me and they were talking down to me. And finally I had enough of it and I stood up for myself. And it was, you are not going to talk that way to me. I was talking to myself in this situation, but that's what I did. And it's almost like the other side of me was like, oh, fuck. And it started backtracking. I was like, that's right. I'm in control now. And because it started backtracking, it started losing strength. The energy of that self-talk started to diminish. That allowed me to take more control. And the more that you can do that and stop it as soon as it starts happening, like you were just saying, the more that you do that, the easier it gets. But the point here is that a lot of people never get there because they don't separate it. They take their self-talk and they think it's them. It's not though, because think about it like this. If it was you, you wouldn't be questioning it. You wouldn't be able to observe it. Well, who's observing the self-talk? You are. The deepest level of you. There's different words for that. Higher self, spirit, true self, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is that you were able to catch this, and for a brief second in time, you were able to go, this isn't true. That means that you were observing something else. What else are you observing? It's not you. You're observing the mind. And like I said earlier, the mind is sick. All of our minds are sick. The way that we start to heal the mind and we start to heal ourselves is separating ourselves from the mind and the self-talk. And if it is not serving us, we get a grip on it. The way that we get a grip on it is through self-awareness.
I like to look at these negative thoughts as kind of like a weed. If you let it go unchecked, it grows deeper roots, it grows bigger. The more deeply rooted that this negative self-talk becomes, the harder it is to get rid of it. The more you have to prove to yourself that this is not true, besides just clipping it immediately. And that is a huge thing that helped me moving forward, because it was just the awareness of it. Like this isn't serving me. I continue to feed it, and it continues to get stronger when I could just get rid of it fairly quickly.
I like that visual representation because it's almost like a tree, right? It starts off as we're a child. It's just a little root that grows into a bush or whatever it is. It's just a little tree. Well, the longer the time goes on and we don't get a grip on it, the stronger it gets, the bigger it gets. Sorry there. But either way, the bigger this tree is going to get. The self-doubt tree, the negative self-talk tree. Well, which tree is easier to cut down? The smaller tree or the big oak? That's the way we have to look at this. We can't allow this to continue. We have to get a grip on this, or it's going to get to the point where you may not be able to come back from it without some really hard work. And the earlier that you start to work on it, the easier it's going to get. But you don't want this tree to grow into a mighty oak that takes a lot of damn effort to chop down.
One of the biggest realizations I had to have with myself is that the thing standing in my own way the most was myself because of negative self-talk.
It always comes back to that. We are the only thing standing in our way. But in that situation, and including my situation as well, because it was the exact same, we both have suffered with negative self-talk growing up, and then eventually we got a good grip on it. It still comes back for myself, I know. But either way, I can get a grip on it. But it's at that moment, you decided to take responsibility for it. And be like, okay, what are we going to do about this? Instead of letting this continue to control every aspect of my life and stop me from moving forward and stop me from becoming the person I want to be, what's the alternative here? It's to question it, it's to challenge it. Look for evidence. And if there is no evidence, and even if there is evidence, say that all this negative self-talk is from past actions. It's shit that you have done in the past. All right, there's evidence here. Who gives a shit? It was in the past. We can always do better moving forward. Every single person on this planet, and that is listening to this podcast right now, can do better moving forward. From this second onwards, you can choose a better trajectory for yourself. So even if you have a mountain of evidence against you, that means nothing. All that is fuel. That is fuel for you to become a better person, to skyrocket yourself to the highest peaks of success that you want to go. The past evidence means nothing. It is in the past. The past is dead. The past doesn't exist anymore. The only evidence of that is the shit that you're keeping in your head from there. Forget about it. The whole reason that we are in this current situation is because you are listening to your mind so much. It's time to shut the mind the fuck up and just start putting in the work. And that's what we have to do here. We have to separate ourselves from the mind. We have to separate ourselves from the negative self-talk, and we have to just work. We got to start taking action, because the more action that you take, the more evidence that you can prove that you are not this person anymore. All this other shit just starts to vanish. You don't think about it anymore. It doesn't weigh you down. It doesn't keep you up at night anymore, because now you are a better person. You are a different person. We are never the exact same. Everything in this universe is always changing. Everything. You are not born a certain way and then you die that way. You have different life experiences. You have different situations that have put you on this certain path. And as a result of that, you are not who you were yesterday. You are not who you were 5 years ago. You are not who you were when you fucked up. That's all it was. It was a fuck up. You are human. You're going to fuck up.
This is a very cliche statement, and it's you have to be your biggest fan. But I mean that to its absolute depths. No one besides yourself has to live with every decision, every action you make throughout the day. No one but you. I don't care if you live with someone else and you're around them 24 hours of the day. They don't know everything that you go through during the day. If you have to be your biggest fan and you want to accomplish something, you truly have to love yourself and get out of your own way.
Which is point number 2, self-compassion. You have to have self-compassion for yourself. And I love that you brought up that biggest fan aspect, because this is something that we've talked about in the past. Is there's a lot of negative things around superiority complex. People use it as like, oh, you have the superiority complex, blah, blah, blah. I've had it said to me before. You're right. I do. I am the fucking man. I am the best. Why would you not think that about yourself? There's nothing wrong with that. That's not saying that I'm better than you. It's not saying that I'm better than anybody else. It's just saying that I know my fucking self-worth, and I love myself enough to be like, you know what? I am the man. I can do whatever I want in my life. I can accomplish anything that I want to. And the reason I can say that is because I have all the evidence in the world, because I have accomplished so much, because I don't give up. I have proven to myself, and I have proven to existence that I will do whatever it takes, which makes me the man. I have created a life for myself that I absolutely love, that if you would have asked me 10 years ago, this would have been like, this is what I want, but that's never going to happen. No, I made it happen, which means that I am the fucking man. You can say the same about yourself. Everyone should be their biggest fan. You should look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I love what I see. The issue here, though, especially me for the first 29 years of my life, was that I did not think that. I did not think that I was anything special. As a matter of fact, I thought that was the biggest piece of shit possible. It doesn't matter what I accomplished at that time, which was a good amount by the time I was 29. But even then, nope, I'm a piece of shit. I'm a piece of shit. I'm not enough. All this stuff. Well, what was that? Negative self-talk. Then I got a grip on it. I started questioning it. No, this isn't true. Look at this. Look at what I'm building. Look at who I have become in such a short period of time. 29 years is not a long time. And I didn't even start working on myself till I was about 25. So in 4 years, I built myself into this. Once again, the negative self-talk started backtracking. Oh shit, he's on to us. That's what you want there. You want your negative self-talk to start backing down. Take control of it. Make it your bitch. Whatever you want to do here. But you need to be your biggest fan. You need to have self-compassion for yourself, and you need to forgive yourself for the past mistakes that you made.
I think it's important to touch on while we're talking about this that sometimes that negative self-talk can be rooted in things that are not you. It could come from childhood programming. It could come from some point where somebody important that you looked up to said something negative while you were in like an emotional, vulnerable state that just kind of stuck with you. The root of the problem really isn't important here. It's important that you challenge it and fix it. But those can be sources of where this information is coming from.
And it's good to know that because it takes away its credibility. It's no longer that big of a deal. You're like, wait, okay, when I was 8 years old, this kid at school said that I was fat and ugly.
Yeah, my sports coach at the time, like, I made a mistake.
He railed me for it.
Yeah, and then that's just kind of the basis of this, where it all started.
The unfortunate aspect, though, is that so many things that happen to us as children, as adolescents, shape who we become. And that's the whole point of your 20s, in my opinion. Your whole 20s is spent unfucking yourself from all the past programming from other people.
It's a trial period.
It's a trial period. It's like, okay, well, I spent 18 years doing this. Well, now I'm on my own. I can start thinking for myself for once. I don't have my parents or work or, well, I mean, you have work, so that was a bad example, but I don't have my parents. I don't have teachers. I don't have all these other people tell me who I need to be, what I believe in, and all this stuff. You can start coming to those conclusions on your own. You can start building a basis and a foundation for yourself off your own morals and values and your own belief system. And the belief system isn't that you're a fat piece of shit just because some kid told you that in school. But people don't question that. They don't bother trying to look for the root cause. And like you said, the root cause isn't important here. We don't have to sit here and be like, where did this come from? It doesn't matter where it came from. The fact of the matter is that it's not serving you. If it's not serving you, get rid of it. If what you are saying to yourself is not moving you in the direction that you want to go, then it's not serving any purpose. It's holding you back. How do we eliminate it? We start questioning it. We start challenging it. We start having self-compassion for ourselves because, yes, maybe we are overweight right now. We've let ourselves go. All right, well, what are we going to do about it now? We're going to consider wallowing in self-pity, or are we going to get our shit together? Or are we going to start becoming the person that we want to be because we know that we can, because you can change at any point in your life. So love yourself. Consider yourself the best person to ever walk this planet because why not? Why should you not believe that? I don't give a shit who is sitting at this table. There's nothing that anyone can tell me that having some sort of superiority complex is a bad thing.
The cool thing about that is something that I've come to realize is it doesn't matter what table I sit at and who's there. I can always provide some kind of value to that person.
And that's great.
And that's what you should be okay with. The table you're sitting at, do you provide value? It doesn't matter if that person is fucking king of the world. Like, how can I provide value? And I guarantee you that once you start eliminating negative self-talk and fixing all this shit, you can bring something to the table always.
And here's a beautiful part about that. And this is from what I've experienced throughout life, not necessarily with myself, a little bit with myself, but from other people. And this is what I like observing by talking to other people, especially people that we've had on the podcast, is if you've had a very rough life up to this point, especially your upbringing, and it has shaped you into this person, you have so much value to bring because you've been through hell. You have experienced shit. The more hell that someone has went through, the more that they can provide to other people because they understand reality and they understand themselves more than most people ever will. So if you are someone that has experienced a bunch of shit in life, great. You have weapons there from that you can use to provide value and to help other people. When you start helping other people, there's no better feeling in the world because that is your purpose. That is every person's purpose on this planet, is to help each other out. And the more hell that you've been through, the more stuff that you have available to do so. Just one little point to touch on there, because I know there's a lot of people listening to this that have had rough upbringings and their self-talk right now is just be like, well, I don't have anything to offer. I promise you, you do.
Dude, it plagued me for years.
You absolutely have something to offer.
And that was one of the things that really stopped me in my tracks. And it was this negative talk that bred doubt in my brain, and that caused me to, doubt everything that, even things that I was confident in doing. If you let doubt go unchecked, it is a very powerful thing that is used against you. But where you get stuck, that doubt, you start to turn down opportunities that present themselves. Well, I can't do this. I'm not worthy of having this. There's no action taken, and you become complacent. And if it's anything to work on yourself, if there's any driving point to fix shit, where you get complacent is where you stop for the rest of your life. If that's at 18 years old, well, guess what? You're going to be 18 until you fucking die.
Well, we hear that with people all the time. It's the dude that benched 405 when he was 16.
High school, yeah.
I was like, what have you done since then, bro? You're 40 now. What you did in high school is irrelevant. Who gives a shit? You're 16. That's your biggest accomplishment so far? Why can't you do it now? Because you got stuck there. You're stuck. And you haven't bothered to pull yourself out of it. You become complacent. Becoming complacent is the worst thing because we can always do better for ourselves. Now, with that being said, that can be a very toxic place to fall into because I've been there before. That's the negative side of self-improvement. And maybe we should do a whole podcast about that because it's not something that is ever talked about. But there is a negative side of self-improvement, is when you never think that what you're doing is enough. Because I can always be better. You can always be better. But what you're doing right now is pretty damn cool. Can you do better? Yeah, and you should. You should always be doing something every single day. If that's reading a book, if that's exercising, it doesn't matter. You should be doing something every day to make yourself just a little bit better. And as long as you do that, cool. And maybe you go months without doing anything. That happens. We all experience different seasons in life. Some seasons are to conquer. Other seasons are just to survive. And once we understand that, we stop beating ourselves up as much.
That's where compassion comes into
that's where compassion does.
Play right
and
there.
I didn't know that until I was about 29. And then I started really trying to dig deeper into self-love. I was talking to this therapist that I had. That's whenever I first started going to therapy, was at 29. And she asked me, she said, Andy, I want to ask you a question. Do you love yourself? And I sat there and I looked at her. I said, I don't know what that means. I legitimately didn't. What does self-love mean? How does someone love themselves?
It's either that response or, yeah, of course I love myself.
But do you?
That's the question.
What are you doing to improve yourself? What do you want more for yourself? Well, if you don't want more for yourself, then I hate to break this to you, but you don't love yourself. If you love yourself, you would be doing whatever it takes to do better for yourself. That means eating the right food. That means exercising. That means reading. That means taking the time to detach from the world to get to know yourself. These are all things that mean that you love yourself. But if you are just stuck in the same spot, self-love is not something that's on your radar. You're bullshitting yourself. But when she asked me that question, and the fact that I didn't know what that meant really troubled me, as it should have. And I spent the next year, 2 years, just focusing on that. And surprisingly, there really wasn't, usually my go-to with everything is, I don't know what that means, I'm going to read a book. And I'm very glad that that's how I've always been my entire life.
That's fantastic.
But with that, there wasn't. I found one book, and it was an okay book, but still I was like, how is there not more information about this? And really, dude, what helped me the most, but that really clicked in my head, was a quote from the Have 'Em All. And I'm going to butcher this because I don't remember it exactly. And plus, there's so many different translations that it doesn't matter. But one of the first stanzas in the Have 'Em All, a book that I've read numerous times, and I just somehow skipped over this every time, was something along the lines of, learn to love yourself because you can't depend on anyone else to do it for you. And that right there really helped drive it home to me, because you're right. I need to love myself because I can't rely on anyone else to do it. Now, I'm not saying that from a negative place, but I'm saying that from, it's not anyone else's responsibility to show me love. I need to be able to love myself, because what that means is that I'm not going to be needy around other people. At the time I was single. What that meant was I can go into my next relationship and I can love that person unconditionally. and not be looking for like, well, she didn't do this, so she doesn't love me, which is something I would have done in the past. It's not like that anymore because I spent 2 years diving deep into this, getting to know myself, accepting the worst parts of me. We'll call that shadow work. But either way, like I just spent 2 years alone getting to know myself. I would go out to eat by myself. I would go hiking by myself. I would go camping by myself. I would only work out by myself. Every second I had to do something by myself, I would. People would want to hang out with me. I'd be like, I'm good, man. I just want to do this by myself. Even on my birthday, I went through 2 birthdays like this. Oh, today's your birthday. What do you want to do? I was like, I'm going to go on a hike and then I'm going to get some sushi, take it home, eat it, maybe watch something on Netflix, read a book, go to bed. Oh, that sounds terrible. But to me, it wasn't. I was like, this is exactly what I want to do.
Man.
But that's how I knew I was making progress is whenever I was okay with spending time by myself. And then it got to a point where I loved spending time by myself. And now it's one of my favorite things in the world. I love spending time with my girlfriend. I love spending time with you. I love spending time with my daughter. But at the same time, there's very few things that are better to me than spending time by myself on the trail, camping, whatever it is. Now I have Ilva with me, so she's running around. That's some nice companionship. But like Saturday, I went on a hike to figure my shit out. I was in one of the worst places I've been in a long time. And I'll just go ahead and say this, because why not? Why not tell a story that's super vulnerable? So I've been dealing with a lot of shit, stress and other stuff. Saturday morning, I woke up. And all I wanted to do was disappear from the world. I wanted nothing to do with anyone. And that was it right there. I was like, I need to go to the woods. I need to get away from everybody. I didn't ask anyone if they wanted to go. Even if you would have hit me up, be like, yo, you want hiking? Be like, yeah, I'm going to go by myself. And you would have understood.
I understand.
You would have understood.
Of that.
But I went out there, man, and I didn't even know what trail I was going to go to. As I was driving, I was on all trails. Shouldn't have been texting and driving, but whatever. I was on my phone looking up all trails, trying to find a trail. Okay, that one looks cool, whatever. I've never been there. I'm going. I just knew. I was like, I need to get by myself. I have to do this. I have to work on myself. I'm in a rough place right now. The only way I get out of this is time alone. So I went out there. I'm hiking for about 3 to 4 miles. Beautiful scenery, but I was so stuck in my head. Negative self-talk, stuff like that. Still dealing with it, guys. But I was stuck in my head. All of these thoughts were going through. I couldn't even appreciate anything around me, even though it's one of the most beautiful sceneries I've ever experienced in my life. And I've seen some shit. But I'm going. I hit this side trail. I don't see even know I was going down. That's why I went down it. I hit the side trail. I hiked for probably an hour. I come to this camping spot. And as I'm walking up this camping spot, I start like losing vision. I start losing energy. My body starts collapsing. My legs are giving out. I put down my bag and I immediately collapsed. I fell on the ground. And I just broke down. I mean, sobbing, hitting the fucking ground, asking for help. I don't know who the hell I was asking for help for. There was no one else out there. But either way, I was so desperate and I was in such a rough place because I had not taken the time in God knows how long to check in with myself by myself. But everything, the moral of that story is that everything that we need is inside of us. We don't need external validation. We don't need anything else from anyone else. We don't need love from anybody else. When we learn to love ourselves, when we learn to have self-compassion for ourselves, that's all you need.
And that's baseline.
That's baseline.
Not saying that, you don't like crave connection and crave from other people, but you fixing yourself, fixing your negative self-talk, loving yourself, that's your new baseline. Anything past that is just makes that even better. But since you created that baseline, there's no going back under that.
There is none. And
there's no staying under that, new baseline you create for yourself.
That's exactly it. And like I said, I lost my shit. Old me would have beat myself up. I'm being a little bitch, blah, blah, blah. Just all these hateful things about myself. Never once did I think that. You know what I did? I just started laughing. After I got done, it took about 3 hours to get this shit out of my system. I don't really remember much of it because it was so traumatic, honestly. But after I got done with it, regained my composure, I just started laughing. And really the first thought that came to my head, and that's why I brought it up earlier, is we're all fucked. We're all fucked in the head. Like, this is the human experience, is to deal with this. You know what? I don't give a shit. I'm not going to beat myself up for having this breakdown because I am a human. I'm not perfect. There's always more shit that I can work on. But I've done this work for so long, and I do have enough self-compassion now that I'm like, this is just how it is.
We had a moment.
We had a moment. And now I'm good. And guess what? I'm going to get back out there and I'm going to continue crushing life. Because once again, I'm the man. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Sometimes I get derailed, but I always get back up. None of that happens without self-compassion. Hey guys, if you're anything like me, you're balls to the wall from the time you wake up until you go to bed. And at some point in the day, you're going to start losing energy and motivation. That's why I always take a scoop of focus around noon. It helps me get dialed back in, and it's pretty much coffee on steroids. If you want to grab a container for yourself, go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on focus today. Moving on to the next point, and this is very important. This will shape everything around you, and that is surrounding yourself with the right people. You need to surround yourself with the best possible people in your environment. If you have negative people around you, guess what? You're going to be a negative person. If you surround yourself with strong, positive people, you will become a more strong, positive person. There is no way that you won't. You've been around people that are contagious. And what I mean by contagious is if you're around a negative person, you're just like, God, like I hate being around this person.
I swear negativity spreads way more quickly than positive actions do. Negativity just breeds and festers on itself, and it's so hard to get a control on it. But it's a perspective shift. Positivity can be just as contagious, and when you feel that within like your close-knit circle, I feel fucking unstoppable.
I think that's exactly what I was going to say. Yes, negativity spreads like wildfire. It's very contagious. It's the damn plague. But positivity will triumph over negativity so quickly. And we've all experienced that. You've been in a negative state for months. You just been in the hole. And as soon as you can finally kind of break out of that hole and switch your mindset to a more positive one, or you get around a positive person, you catapult out of that hole. You are filled with strength. You want to go after everything in life. Well, guess what, guys? If you surround yourself with strong, positive people that are a solid influence for you, you can have that every day of the week. When I come to work, because I decide who works here, I'm around a bunch of really solid people because I'm not going to work and spend my days around someone that's fucking negative because it's contagious.
It's draining.
It's so draining. But because I surround myself with people like you, everyone at the Norse compound, we have so many amazing people at our gym that at any point I can just walk next door and I'm going to have a great conversation with someone. I could be having a rough day. It's like, I just need to break the cycle. You know, all I have to do is walk next door. And I know that there are going to be a handful of people over there that are going to be that positive energy that I need to snap out of it. So yes, negativity spreads like wildfire. It's very contagious, but all it takes is one positive act, one positive person, and all that negativity immediately vanishes. It's like it never happened in the first place. So what I'm saying here is positivity is so much more powerful. Negativity is weak. It is a weak energy state, which means that it's easy to destroy, like anything else that's weak. Just like your negative self-talk. Your negative self-talk is a weak version of you. You can get a grip on that and you can smash it. You can crush it. You can take control of it.
It's a very simple concept, and you become who you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
If those are negative people, you're going to, I don't care how positive you are, if you surround yourself with negative people, you're going to get brought down to some degree. But if you surround yourself with positive, strong individuals, that's who you're going to be, because you not only want that for yourself. If you love these people that you surround yourself with, and if you're surrounding with yourself with people that you don't love, I'm not sure why you're doing that in the first place. But because you love these people and because you love yourself, you're going to want to do better for them just as much as you want to do better for yourself.
Absolutely.
Because if you grow, they grow. If they grow, you grow. It's this constant feeding cycle.
And we're talking a lot about like positive people, right? Like their characteristics, I guess. Well, this also means their habits. What are your friends doing on a regular basis? Are they drinking? Are they doing a bunch of drugs? Are they just sitting around watching Netflix all day, playing video games, whatever it is? Or are these the people that are working on themselves? Do they have positive habits or do they have negative habits? It's very easy to find out who you want to hang out with. Who do you want to become? Shape that image inside your head. Okay, cool. Who do I know that fits that image already? Okay, I'm going to go hang out with this person more. This person has all these characteristics that I want, and if I hang out with this person, I'm going to start subconsciously modeling their behavior. If I model their behavior, I'm going to be a better person as a result. Okay, cool, awesome. But the reason that this ties into negative self-talk is because if you are around people that constantly beat you down, that are constantly just trying to make your self-worth non-existent, well, then your self-worth is going to be non-existent. You're going to feel like a piece of shit. But if you're around solid people that want the best for you, that are always trying to pick you up instead of beat you down, you're going to stay elevated all the time. Which one sounds better here? Like I said, this is not a hard thing to do. Look at the people that you know. Which ones have good habits? Which ones have bad habits? Who do I want to become? Do I want to be like this person that goes out and drinks 6 nights a week? Or do I want to be like this dude that's stacking cash, is swole as fuck, has a hot girlfriend, drives a sick car, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. But either way, who do I want to be more like?
Listen to your body when you hang out with people.
Yeah.
Are you leaving that little hangout session feeling more energized, more positive, ready to fucking conquer? Or are you leaving that situation drained, questioning yourself? Time and energy are our most precious resources. Why even allow yourself to not enjoy the time with people?
I'm reading Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins again. This is like my 3rd time reading this book. It is probably the best book ever written, in my opinion. At least books I've read, Letting Go by David Hawkins is the best one. But I'm rereading this book right now, and one of the things that he was touching on with the portion I was reading today was how positive emotions automatically make the muscles stronger. Negative emotions will make you weaker. We can use that to our advantage. Instead of feeling guilt and all these shame, these negative emotions, that is literally making you weaker. This is not just some spiritual woo-haw shit, whatever. This is scientific evidence that when you are thinking positive, when you're surrounding yourself with positive people, when your environment is positive, you are a stronger person. Your muscles are stronger. Your entire being is stronger. Listen to your body. Do you feel weaker or do you feel stronger hanging out with these people? If the answer is weaker, start distancing yourself from these people. It doesn't matter if it's your parents, your siblings, your friend that you've been hanging out with for 15 years, your partner, it doesn't matter. If someone is making you feel weaker, it's time to reevaluate who you're hanging out with. You don't have to cut this person off entirely. That's unnecessary. But it just means that, hey, this is not serving me. I'm going to stop talking to you so much.
And we're speaking in trends here. This isn't a one and done kind of thing.
No.
Like you hang out with a person one time and like they're not up to their best and they're negative.
Well,
it's
that
not
happens
like,
all the time.
Well, this person's being negative. Well, look at a trend. Is this person just like kind of down and they're positive 90% of the time, but you caught them on an off day?
Right.
Don't just be so quick to just eliminate people off of one little thing.
Well, like I said, Saturday I was having a really rough day. No one could have benefited from being around me. That doesn't mean that I can't be of value at other times.
It's a trend. Like
it's a trend here. Right.
Just look at and that's a big realization too. Look at things in trends and like give people a chance.
Yeah.
Do not just like cut them off at the slightest little issue. Now, if this issue continues over and over and over again, okay, like it might be time to look into it, but things are never just one and done.
And we don't have to make this some dramatic thing. You don't have to be like, you are a negative person, and blah, blah, blah. You don't have to say anything to them about it. You just have to make the decision. I'm going to stop spending my time with this person, and instead I'm going to start spending my time with this person. That's all there is to it. Moving on to the next thing. Stop comparing yourself to other people. This is going to be very difficult to do. I catch myself doing it. I'm sure you do as well. Everyone does it, and it's almost impossible because it's human nature, and because of social media and everything else nowadays, we are constantly looking at what we perceive other people's lives to be. We don't know what their lives are. We don't know what's going on with everybody at all times. All we see is a little clip of it.
What they want you to see.
What they want you to see. Their life isn't great. They're fucked up just like you are. That's the reality of the situation. But when you start comparing yourself to other people and you don't get a grip on that, your negative self-talk is going to spiral downwards. Oh, I'm not good enough. I don't have this much money. I don't live in this house. I don't drive this car. I don't have this type of job. I'm not that confident. I'm not that big. It doesn't matter. Who are you right now? Who were you last week? Who were you 5 years ago? Who are you going to be in the future? Everything outside of that is irrelevant. It does not matter. But if you think that it does, and you put too much emphasis on this, and you listen to your thoughts, you're going to be in a very bad place very quickly.
The only comparing you need to do is comparing to your past self. And
That's
this is one of my favorite things to do, man. Like, I do it very deeply once every 3 months. Now, it happens pretty much weekly. Am I a better person this week than I am last week? Did I do something to improve myself? But I use 3 months as a base timeline. I will look at myself 3 months ago. Am I better than that person in some way, shape, or form? If the answer is yes, then we're headed in the right direction.
Yeah. And that's the only thing that you can do there. Comparing yourself to anyone else outside of you is a waste of time. It's also completely clouded that you don't know the reality of the situation. Just because someone is bigger than you in the gym, they're moving more weight. Well, guess what? They could be blasting trend. You're not blasting trend. You're not going to be as big as that person. That's just the reality of it. Maybe they have a six-pack and you don't. Well, what's your diet look like?
They could genetically just be more inclined to have better abs.
There's so many factors involved with it that comparing yourself to other people is a waste of time. Are we going to do it? Absolutely. Do we put any emphasis on it? No. It doesn't matter. It's a thought. Just like negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is just a thought as well. It's there, and then it's gone. 5 seconds later, you're thinking about something completely different if you allow yourself to. Now, if you want to fixate on this and have it playing over and over in your mind, well, your self-worth is going to go down dramatically, and as a result, that negative self-talk is going to take control. It's going to get stronger, and then all this work that you put in is going to be very hard to reverse because you are comparing yourself to someone else. So don't do it. Moving on to the next point. This is also the last one. Focus on your strengths. What are you good at? You are good at something. Now, your self-talk could be so bad that you just can't think of anything. Well, go out into nature, detach yourself from everything, go sit in a room, sit in your car, it doesn't matter, but you need to detach yourself from everyone and start making a list. Start dissecting your life. Start looking at who you are. What do you do on a regular basis? What have you accomplished in the past? You have done something good. You are good at something. We are all good at certain things and bad at other things. I'm very well aware of what I'm not good at. So I just stay away from it. I've worked on it to a point where it's like, hey, like I'm decent at this. Me putting my energy into this that I'm struggling with and I'm always going to struggle with isn't worth me not putting my energy into my strengths and getting even better, faster at what I'm just naturally gifted at. That's how we all need to approach it. You're naturally gifted at something, figure out what that is, and pursue it with everything. If you're working on your self-worth and trying to reverse negative self-talk and all that stuff, all you're going to do is breed more negative self-talk whenever you're trying to do something that you're probably never going to be very good at because it's just not your thing. We all have that. What are you going to focus on? The thing that's easier to progress in, or the thing that you're really going to have to struggle to? And what is the result of you struggling with this? What is the benefit of you wasting your time and energy on this thing that just is not ever going to be that good in the first place? Fuck it. Leave it alone. I'm good at this. Sick. Let's build on this. And that's so powerful, because if you focus on your strengths each and every day, you're building confidence. That self-worth is going to start rising, because every day you're like, holy shit, I'm getting better and better at this. And because you're choosing something that you're just naturally gifted at, it's going to progress so much quicker. It's compound interest. It's going to start off here. You put a little bit of effort into it, a little bit of effort, and all of a sudden it skyrockets. Then you're on top of the world. Then it's okay, cool. What's next? What else can I accomplish? You see this over here on the horizon. I'm going after that because it falls in line with this thing. Well, I'm good at this. I'll probably be really damn good at that too. Pursue that. Don't pursue the shit that you're just not good at, because your negative self-talk is going to take over. See, I told you couldn't do it. You should have never started in the first place. That's my view on it, at least.
I think we should work on our weaknesses if our weaknesses are holding ourselves back or detrimental to others. Now, the weaknesses that we're referring to is like just kind of irrelevant shit, not very important stuff. Well, I'm weak at this. Like, I don't need to work on that. Like, if you're weak at self-love or weak at self-compassion, like, of course, work on those things. These are just weaknesses that
everything
tried and true and tested. Where like it's irrelevant at
so
this point.
Everything I'm referring to is external. We're stacking victories in the external world. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because there could have been confusion there and I didn't even think about that. But what I'm referring to are, what victories can I stack in the external world on a day-to-day basis that's going to improve my self-worth, that's going to boost my confidence, that's going to improve my overall value as a human being. The internal work, that's hard to gauge if you're good at it or not. Even if you're just really bad at it, you need to put in the work to get better. Like, you need to be doing the internal work. It's the same with meditation, man. Like, that is the perfect example that I can think of. No one sits down and is good at meditation. That doesn't mean that you stop doing it. It means that you continue doing it, because you will be able to progress in it, and you should progress in it, and you should take that time and energy to get control of your mind, because once you do that, you won't have that negative self-talk anymore, because you're able to separate yourself from it. That's all meditation is observing your thoughts, your self-talk, stuff like that. But no one is good at meditation as soon as they start. It takes repetition. But that doesn't mean that we don't pursue it because we're bad at it in the beginning. Well, I'm never going to get there. That's a cop-out. You're giving up. That's not acceptable. When it comes to internal work, we don't give up. We climb that hill no matter how long it takes. We continue climbing to the top of the mountain until we get to the top. Until we have this weakness that we take control of, and it's no longer an issue, and it's no longer holding us back in life. That's the only time that we move on to something else. But like I said, everything I'm referring to is external. If we can start stacking victories on a day-to-day basis with hobbies, with different tasks, stuff like that, we're going to boost our confidence. And because we're boosting our confidence, our self-worth is going to improve as well. And when our self-worth improves, then our negative self-talk starts to diminish, because it doesn't have any strength anymore. So with that being said, I think that's the end of this episode. Would you like to add anything?
I'm good, man.
Awesome.
I think we crushed.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Norse Mentality. This podcast is a byproduct of Norse Fitness. We make clothing, fitness accessories, supplements, and other tools to help you reach your true potential. If you're interested in grabbing something for yourself, you can go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on your next order.